I don't know if it's working yet or not. All it's telling me is that the stream has ended. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so we're back on YouTube. Are we back on Twitch? Okay. Yes. Whew. Yeah, Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. I've had internet issues. Sorry. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. The pandemic has really kind of uh, created more of a problem. So yeah, anyway, I'm just going through and adding edge loops down. I want to make the squares kind of as even as possible. You can see, as long as I can still reconstruct, I should be good. What I want to do, in fact, let's do it like this, because I want to keep that green intact. So I'm gonna, make sure that I hide the blue, and then if you run some of the intensive functions on ZBrush, there's a chance you may drop as well. Then I may drop my internet connection. I don't know that I've done anything ZBrush heavy at all today, really, which is kind of a pain. Let's go ahead and get my move brush. I'm just going to smooth this out. I just have my alternative smooth going right now. This just helps to kind of even everything out. Let's get the transition between the two to be a little bit rounded out. Mermaids don't have the same butts as we do. That I'm aware of. The output of a display capture. Okay, that could make sense. That could make sense, but I know that would cause actual broadcasting hiccups. I don't know that it would create actual internet issues. My actual internet's been a pain since all this went down. So if I had to make a suggestion to anybody, I would say stay out of a pandemic, guys. Oh. Okay, now the shoulder right here, that line is not quite creating the shape that I want, so we're gonna kind of play with that some. Okay, and then I want to kind of play with the way that this the shoulder to forearm crease happens. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's like this crease that happens right there. So it's kind of an important little landmark. And fortunately we've got our topology there, so we can just use our hiding the edge loop trick mask. You just kind of bring that down. Okay, I got about a half hour left. I used to not have to worry about getting off on time. I didn't used to have other streams happening after me, but this one will be a cool one. Let's actually let me check and see what the what the stream was about. It's with Joseph Drust. Let's see, let's go into calendar. While the internet's loading, might as well work, right? Okay, with Proco. Okay, yeah, Proco is a channel, Stan Prokopenko on YouTube. So it'll be interesting to see what they do for that. Stan does a lot of interviews of really phenomenal artists, so no wonder he wants to collaborate with Joseph Drust. Yeah, so that'll be cool. So make sure you guys stick around after I'm done. It'll be an hour after I'm done. So in an hour and a half from now, Joseph Drust will be on. Looks like with Stan Prokopenko to be able to talk art in ZBrush and who knows what else. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. So yeah. Where can you see my work? The quickest place that I like to send people to is to my Instagram. Let me send you the link to that. Boa tarde. Sorry, my Portuguese is muito mal. Pero mi español es bueno. Yo me manejo suficientemente bien con el español, así que si me quieres hablar en español o si entiendes el español, allí te puedo ayudar. Yeah, just trying to navigate getting this collarbone area kind of put in. One of the things that I really like that I've discovered. I mean, it's a stupid thing. It's a really simple little thing. But when I discovered where the clavicle goes to, gracias. When I discovered where that clavicle goes to, that it originates from like right here, and then it kind of goes back to the shoulder, kind of like that line, and then to see kind of like the way that it curves back a little bit. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to me, and I'm so glad that I've seen that and kind of made a little bit of sense of it. It's one of those things that I feel helps to really ground your pose is if you can figure out getting the clavicle and the shoulders to work. So yeah, I mean a lot of the shoulder pose is going to take a lot of tweaking, but it's coming along. It's something to tweak and work on. Okay, these may be a bit too saggy, so I want them to feel more young and youthful. And so, instead of being like droopy, and that's good for now. I'll come back to it again in a minute. There we go. I think that's looking a little bit better. We'll come back to it again in a minute. It's always good to kind of like work your way around and come back to things again with fresh eyes later. But sometimes you just can't let go. Just can't let go. Need to make sure it's getting kind of a more of a swoop underneath rather than I don't want it to feel too much like it's just a pictorial. It needs to feel like it's got the flesh to it too. And then I want this abdominal to feel a little bit more streamlined. Let's pull this. It's not wanting to work for me. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna model in. She's like too thick. She's got too much hip too. I mean, I like putting in a good set of hips, but I feel like this particular character doesn't feel like she would have a whole lot of hip. That being said, I do want to make sure that I have a hint at the anatomy of a hip. I'll have to decide later if it feels too strong or not. Okay, so we're going to have to decide how to close this up. For right now, I mean, it's okay. Let's kind of smooth this shape out. It didn't smooth when we smoothed it because of being a border edge, and you can modify your smooth brush so that it can take care of that. But it'll also kind of shrink it toward the other. Shrink it back toward the other edges. Did I know how to draw before I started to sculpt? Yeah. So I was going to school for animation when I learned about ZBrush back in 2012, and that was awesome. So I had a buddy who was working on his BFA show. He was in the illustration program, and he was using ZBrush as a way to be able to produce these little maquettes, these little sculptures that he put on display for his show. So cool. And I had never seen digital sculpting before then. In fact, let's get rid of the butt crack here. I had never seen digital sculpting before, so that was a super cool thing. I had done 3D modeling for years. I had been doing using Maya since 2006, so I mean I was familiar with 3D and how that realm functions, but I had never seen ZBrush before then, and it was such a powerful tool to me. I couldn't not use it, you know. I just absolutely had to have it. So I went ahead and you know, I believe my parents helped me get the educational license. And it wasn't until a couple of years later that I started using it professionally. So I went ahead and I invested in the full license, the professional license, and I haven't looked back since. I've used it so much. It has easily been my favorite professional tool. I've been able to use it for 3D printing. I've used it for for characters for games. I've used it for teaching. I've used it for live streaming. I've used it for toys. I've used it for did I say 3D printing? I've used it for animation. I've used it for theme parks. You know, it's easily my favorite tool. So so yeah, it's pretty easy to understand why I would love, you know, sticking around with Pixelogic so much. It's changed my life. It's been a great professional tool, as well as a hobby. And yeah, I mean, it was one of my biggest tools while I was at Disney. So let me see, what did Derek's, oh, Dafu. How do you intend to push the pose and find it so it has a good curvature instead of that finger bending shape? So I might not be able to actually get into the fingers today. In fact, those hands are a little bit bigger than I want them to be, and those arms have gotten a little thin. I won't even be able to get into the hair. Let's see. I'll need to. I ought to block in that hair. Let's fix the thickness of these arms. So the fingers, I do it in much the same way as I did the shoulders, where it looks really bad, looks really bad, looks really bad, and then doing the fin. The fin's fairly simple. I think I can go ahead and do that before we get off. But yeah, I can show you the fin. The fingers will be like, you know, it'll look bad, and then I'll get it to this point, and it looks really terrible, and then I smooth, and then I use my edge selection tool to kind of pull and push it back in. Hello from Ecuador. Bienvenido, compadre. Saludos a mis amigos ecuatorianos. ¿Cómo se les dice? It's good to see that, you know, somebody from Ecuador is safe and doing well. It was really heavy for me to see how things are in Guayaquil. That was a really, really heavy day for me. Okay. So yeah, we'll leave the arms like that for now. I better save. I haven't saved like at all. Others where I have this one at. So yeah, got that. Evelyn Suarez. Ecuatorianos. How are you guys faring? What part of Ecuador are you from? Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a really, really hard time. Hey, Rich. Yeah, ZBrush is a fantastic tool, and it's, you know, good on you for going through and you know, tuning into live streams and things like that. I feel like these sorts of tools, I wish that I had access to cool live streams when I was learning. I feel like I would have been able to learn more quickly and learn better. I love this tool. I love the resources that they've worked hard to put out there. Okay, anyway, let's make that fin. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's fix that. Fix that. Okay, that's good enough for now. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to, let's cheat. Let's do this. So I'm going to Control Shift D to duplicate that, delete higher, and then what I want to do is just have that visible. And then let's take that. You know what? Let's take all that, get rid of that. Okay, so delete hidden. Okay, so now I've got just this little piece of the tail here. Autosave. Quito. My dad lived in Quito for a while. Right at the base of a volcano. Though I wouldn't be able to tell you what the name of the volcano was. Come on. Okay, so since I'm working on something that's a little bit more complex, I'm going to go ahead and use my ZModeler to get rid of this. I'll just get rid of all these intermediate. Okay. Set it on Mixer. Not sure if you saw it. Just saying it one last time. Yeah, no, it might be set for green screen. Maybe I'll just go ahead and check that real quick. I did have a green screen set up. Yeah, and it might not matter. I'll not worry about it. I'll worry about it for next time. In fact, next time I'll probably try to have the actual screen set up. But yeah. I don't do much realism. I find, well, I mean, I find this to be much more appealing to me. In fact, I tried to do realism, and it was, it's not as much my forte as stylized characters. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. Okay, so a lot of what we're going to want to do to be able to get the fin shape is, one, I want to think about kind of the flow of the veins inside of the fins. So I want to make sure that I'm getting kind of that directionality. I'm going to take, let's go ahead, let's insert an edge loop here. Let's do that, let's get rid of those. Okay, and then we can go ahead and say collapse edge. Yeah, before we do that, let's insert another edge loop here and here, and then we'll insert an edge loop. Yeah, let's just do it like that. Collapse edge. Okay, turn off that dynamic mode. Kind of drives me nuts, but it's one of those things that, you know, certain tools will only function under certain conditions. Okay. Okay, so now that I've got that tail kind of in there, okay, and that kind of works. It's about the size that I want, which is great. I'm trying to decide now. I think it could be cool to have the tail go to pink. The face of despair. Yeah, my connection has been really, really just terrible since realism is boring. Realism is really, really cool, and there are a lot of artists that do it super, super well, like Vimal Kirkara. He's one of my favorites. A good friend of mine, living over in England right now. I think he works for Double Negative. Could be wrong. And then uh, Hussein Diva is the other one that I really, really like. They do some really fantastic work, and it's really fun to see. Um, Bichar from India. Um, yeah, I mean there are some amazing, amazing artists. Um, Amazing artists. But so far as for myself, I don't particularly. I don't particularly like it. It's just something I want to try and get better at, but it's not something that I feel. Oh, cancel that. That I feel overwhelmingly pressured to get better at. Okay, so I've got this hair base from the original mesh. What we're gonna do, I guess we already have the. Let's do this just so that we can show you. So I'm going to I hit Z to be able to activate my spotlight, so I can go ahead and if I hit C while I'm hovering over that, it'll let me select the colors. You have to have that spotlight activated in order to select those colors, or else it won't let you. It'll just select the background. So now I'll go ahead and we'll say color fill object just to get that in there. Okay. Let's turn on my symmetry. I actually really hated his Simpsons ones. The Homer that he made was like, I don't know, it had a lot of gross factor to me, which, I mean, it's Homer Simpson, the whole character is all gross factor, so I mean, it's not like it's anything super out of character. I'm not a huge Simpsons fan, but it was done well. It was definitely done well. My favorite from Hossein, I love his wrestler series. He does some of the most amazing lifelike recreations I've seen, and I love it. I love how cool those look. Can you insert a sphere for her to hold in this pose? Oh, I see what you're saying. Don't go alone, take this. Did I answer your question? Let me see. Do you need to learn first to draw before learning to sculpt? No. There are some really fantastic sculptors that are really terrible at drawing. um, the two skills are not, they are not, you're not going to be an amazing sculptor because you draw well, and you're not going to be an amazing drawer because you sculpt well. Some people are better at processing things in 3D or in real space, by sculpting, than they are at drawing, trying to figure it out on paper. And some people just the opposite. So I think that knowing both and doing well with both, I feel like the skills can enhance each other, but it's not necessary to be able to draw before you can sculpt, or vice versa. I know a lot of my friends at Disney who go through and they do a lot of drawing because it's what they like to do, but their main job is character modeling, or yeah. And I've got a good friend from up in Canada who he's a fantastic illustrator. I'm pretty sure he's from Canada, actually. Now I'm double guessing it. His name is Anthony Van Arsdale. He's an amazing illustrator, and he's recently started picking up ZBrush, and he's doing a great job with it. It's super cool to see the stuff that he's been turning out. So you should go check him out. He's got a great blogger account, as well as an Instagram. Lately, he's been doing a lot of Instagram, so go check him out. Anthony Van Arsdale. I feel like that's getting too small. I don't know. A lot of playing, trying to figure out the anatomy there. Okay, so she's got her ball. It makes me almost want to. Anyway, so let's see. Let's jump back to this hair. So I have my own personal hairbrush. Actually, let's go ahead. Let's split unmasked so I can hide the ball. I have my own personal hairbrush, which I have for sale on ArtStation and Gumroad. So, I mean, if you want to go check it out, it's a fantastic. In fact, I gotta change my fall off here. It's a fantastic little tool that I've gone through and developed. The ones that were out there didn't do quite what I wanted them to. All right, let's take this, make it so that it gets thicker. So it starts kind of thin and gets thick, and then it ends thin. All right, let's go through and say solo. So yeah, what I did is I ended up going through and creating my own, and it's been tremendously helpful having one that does what I want it to do. If you want to find it, you can go find me on ArtStation. Find me underneath oh, Anthony Van. Here, let me write down Anthony. I'm pretty sure that's how it's spelled. So I mean, you can look that up. You should be able to find him. He's really good. If you wanted to be able to find my brushes or my ArtStation or my Instagram or anything like that, you can find me underneath SMAARTIST. You see my handle there on the bottom middle of the screen. Find me pretty much anywhere. Let's see, pull her back in. Okay, wrong one. Yeah. Where's my other hair strand? Let's let it clear down in there. Don't know why that got pulled all the way down in, but it did. Alright, well it's 10 o'clock, so I probably ought to be jumping off. You guys have been great. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, in an hour, Joseph Drust will be live with Proko. So that'll be exciting. That'll be cool. And yeah, I mean, if you want to see the final results for this, go ahead and follow up again in a couple of days on Instagram, and I'll be posting it there. I'll probably try to post or try to share the final with you guys when I get on here again in a couple weeks time. So yeah, I mean that's where she got to in a little over an hour time. So yeah, any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, I mean the silhouette definitely needs to be played with. But yeah, there's some stuff to play with. Yeah. Anyway, got some good progress, and yeah, go ahead and feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. And I can't draw. I tried again last night. Yeah, I get the feeling. Yeah, thanks for coming around, guys, and I'll see you guys around.